It's alive.
It's alive. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Trotec 1 Hour Design Challenge with myself, Don, and my friend Miguel, very, very talented Miguel Machado. Is it Machado? Machado? I feel like I always mispronounce that.
Machado.
See, and then I talked over you explaining it, so that's even worse. I've been with Trotec for just about 2 years. I work as our consumables manager here in Trotec Laser Canada. So if you have any questions today, particularly those concerning consumables, feel free to fire them into the chat. We'd be very happy to answer any question you have in English, French, or Portuguese, although I'll steer most of the Portuguese ones to Miguel. Miguel is our incredible talented designer. A little bit of Spanish, because we have this question from Carlos.
I know, it's not a question.
Pop up. That's not a question. See, this is why I really need to. There's not even a question mark on it, so I should have known. But we're so happy that you've all tuned in this week. We're sorry if there's any sort of questions about the time that we were going live. We always go live at this time. If we're not going to go live at this time, we will, of course, let you know. Good morning, Jason. Very nice to see you. Thank you for tuning in. Anybody who's coming back to see us again, obviously, we're really happy to have you back. Anybody who's coming in for the first time, let me just give you a quick rundown of what you can expect from the 1 Hour Design Challenge. So every week, we have been doing this for just about a month now, I think, right? Just about a month.
Yep.
We are going to strive to have our very talented designer, Miguel, make a product within an hour and show you how you could use the Trotec Rayjet laser to do it yourself. We will try and take suggestions or themes and challenges wherever possible. But some weeks like this week, we are just going to show you a really, really cool application and challenge Miguel to see if he can make it his own and make it special during the week. You sort of tipped the hat to this one last week. You said we were going to do rotary this week. Is that still kind of the plan? Is that what we're looking at?
Yep. And it's not going to be a request-based one, unfortunately, because it's going to be a little bit tricky to do that. I mean,
right,
with the bottles that we're going to use, but eventually, we will have to do one with the requests, and there are on rotary. But this week, it's actually going to be more of a build-up and creating stuff out of my own mind and not like looking and finding something on the internet.
Very cool.
Morning, Lorenzo.
Morning, Lorenzo. How are you? Anybody, particularly if this is your first time, we love if you can drop in the chat where you're watching from. We're always excited to hear. We heard from some of you this week on Instagram, some of our regulars that we're really, really excited to see back, and some new faces who are doing the Shadow Box Challenge along with us last week. That was really, really cool. We really appreciated all the nice comments as well in the YouTube video. That was fantastic. You can always check these out later too on the Trotec Laser Canada YouTube channel. Don't hesitate to watch the VODs. I know you can't possibly get enough of me and Miguel, unless, of course, you're Lev.
Or my wife.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about sort of what you have in store this week. I mean, we knew when we started this challenge that we were going to have a couple of weeks where we wanted to teach you guys some more kind of design principles and some different tips and tricks that we can then incorporate into later designs. And I think this week is going to be one of those weeks. Miguel, can you tell us sort of a little bit about what you have in store for us today?
Yeah. So we have, and I'm going to open one bottle here. We have some aluminum bottles, water bottles, right, that we sell. And they are with anodized aluminum, right? They're really shiny.
Yep.
So the thing is, when I thought about doing rotary, because, well, it's one of the USPs for the Rayjet, right? It's a hobby laser that you can do something in a rotary tool. I don't know if there's any other hobby laser in the market that can do that. But we can definitely not only do that, but do it properly and fast.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, we have to use rotary. However, since a lot of people here didn't see a Rayjet using a rotary before, or doesn't even know that Rayjet can do that, or doesn't have a Rayjet, I wanted to show the steps to get in the rotary kind of mentality, because it's a little bit different how you design something to go around an object, right? And eventually we'll do again rotary, but with requests, so you guys can have like a better idea of what you want me to do, right? So today I'm gonna do a simple logo that, I mean, I'm not gonna look on the internet for that logo. I did it myself, so no problem there. But if you guys are gonna use anybody else logo, please like ask for permission or check if it's okay for you to do that. And then I'm gonna create a pattern, and I'm gonna teach you guys a little bit of pattern creation. I'm gonna be, I don't know, a little bit fast in that because you can do thousands of different patterns, and like, you have a couple of different ways that you can make patterns in Illustrator, on Corel as well. And yeah, and after that, I'm gonna do a pattern that goes around the bottle, and I hope it's gonna be seamlessly. Yeah.
Seamless, yeah.
Yeah, that is gonna like connect both sides in the perfect way. I hope so. It's gonna be tricky because, well, it needs some testing and like making sure that by the millimeter everything is correct. So basically, yeah, I'm gonna show you the whole process to get to that and see if we can make the thing go around and actually connect in a seamless manner. Yeah, seamless manner. All right, that's perfect. Basically it for today. Yeah.
JC Productions, so happy to have you back. You mentioned there might be some other hobby lasers that have the rotary tool or the sort of the skewer tool. I think, like Miguel mentioned, what we really like about the Rayjet is the speed with which it is able to work with the rotary and sort of incorporate it seamlessly into the Rayjet manager. Keep in mind that there's basically a brand new software that just came out for all the Rayjet machines called Rayjet Manager, as I said. So I think we're going to be launching it very, very soon. We're going to do a special webinar live stream to launch it and show you guys a little bit more in depth about the software itself. But, you know, Miguel will get to show you today. I mean, doing a pattern on a bottle is a really cool application simply because it is and we'll look at this later, but a really popular product on shops like Etsy, Shopify accounts, things like that. I mean, it's really, really, really booming right now, personalized water bottles and that sort of thing. So having Miguel make his own pattern and teach you guys some pattern making things is definitely a tricky challenge. But at the same time, you know, what he shows you today can apply to personalizing a water bottle for somebody with, like I say, a corporate logo with a little, you know, text or quote, whatever it is that the client wants you to do for them. And we'll be happy to break down some ROI stuff for you going forward. JC Productions also asked about the price of the Rayjet. Unfortunately, because we're streaming all over the world, we can't really speak to price since it varies from country to country. But what I would say is just visit troteclaser.com and you can get in touch with your local Trotec laser rep there. And definitely ask them about the Rayjet. Ask them about the leasing and financing options that are available. I know in Canada you can get a Rayjet for as low as, you know, $60 a week, basically like $300 a month. So it's definitely something worth pursuing. The Rayjet is probably one of our very favorite machines, and I think it's time maybe we show off why. Also, Ron, who's tuning in from Ohio, I wanted to give you a quick shout out. Just because I loved that when we asked you where you were from, you typed it in all caps, and I think that is the coolest way.
I'm screaming.
So, yeah, it should be Ohio. Do you want to get started? Maybe you could show us some of the stuff with the logo that you designed.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so let me put it here. All right, so this is a personal creation of mine, and I wanted to use this because I feel like it's a good composition for a rotary engraving, right? So like triangular composition. So you have all the points, like the whole text part is going to go around the bottle, right? And the logo would probably be sitting on just the center part, let's say, you know, and you can see the whole logo and the text would be going around. So it's a good test of how is it going to look, anything that we do, you know? And I mean, even though it's a kind of let's say a simple logo, there's not too many like details. We have some fine like lines here that we showed like the difference between the width on the engraving as well. So it's basically a good test of quality of what we can do on a rotary, like, right? You have like thicker lines, you have like thinner lines, you know. I mean, you have a text that's like 3 times as big as the logo, so it's going around, and that's basically it that I'm gonna engrave there. Now, there's some tips and tricks, let's say, to engraving on rotaries that I use. One of them is this, right? Making a box that is the height of the product that you're using to engrave, right? So let me go back to my camera here.
So would that box be sort of equivalent to like the label that you would see on like a Coke bottle, let's say? It's like it represents the surface area of the bottle that you want to engrave?
Yes. So
okay.
My bottle here, I don't really know the diameter of it, and I would tell you guys, like, if you're gonna do anything with rotary or any kind of engraving that's gonna go around, have a caliper bought. Like, I don't know how much digital caliper costs, but anyway, this is really useful, right?
Indeed.
So you can take it and measure the width, not the width, the
diameter.
Yeah, the diameter. So this one is 2.77, right? And I have my diameter now. I could go directly to the Rayjet manager and put it there because we will have to. But before that, I will go and like calculate what is the actual size of it, right? The whole thing. So you multiply 2.77 by 5, which is 3.14, and you get a number close to this, right? 878. I think it's 869, 870. Why did I put like 0.08 there? Because when I tested out, I think there was a small discrepancy, like a millimeter, less than a millimeter, and I wanted to make sure that it actually connected, right? So this was a good number for me, 8.788. So it's not arbitrary. It's good for you to know the whole area that you have to work with, you know, because if you're doing wine bottle, if you're doing any kind of, like, I don't know, a mug, it's going to be a different diameter. So GC is helping us. The cheapest is like $10 on Amazon. Yes, so you can get a digital caliper for $10 on Amazon, 10 USD, right? And it will help you with any engraving that like requires you to have a round kind of thing, you know?
I feel like it's just about instrumental, right? I don't know that. I mean, as soon as you hit the part where you're talking about multiplying it by pi, I feel like it's not something that you can really guess at, you know, yes, the value that you're gonna use.
Exactly. So, okay, after this, I will just to know how it's gonna look. I mean, kind of on my bottle, I'm gonna put it here on like the way that I want it to be engraved, right? So I can see that this is gonna take a lot of my bottle. Like, it's gonna be probably 70% of the whole area around the bottle, and I don't want that. It's kind of too big. So it's 3 inches in width. So I'm gonna put like now 2. Oh shit, it's 5 actually. Okay, cool. Let me go here, make everything linked, and I'm gonna make 3 inches. Right, so now it's maybe too small. I'm gonna put 3.7.
So you're thinking about readability when it's on the side of the bottle?
Yes. So
gotcha.
4 might be good to show on the stream because since the logo is too shiny. No, not the logo, the bottle. And it's aluminum, right? So when you engrave, it's gonna be extra shiny, and then when you guys will be able to see it.
Right.
All right. So this is not an artboard. It's just a box, so that you don't print both when you send it to the Rayjet. Okay. So I'm going back here.
I'm just realizing, and you saying that I would definitely send both. I want you guys to know Miguel makes this look easy, but well, the new software certainly makes it easier. Miguel and I did a training at a customer for how to engrave bottles using the old Rayjet software, and thank goodness Miguel was there because it is a bit of a trickier monster to tame.
It was a real challenge to do that.
That was one of your first weeks here, I think, right? Wow.
No, that one was absolutely a challenge. Like to do the old software, which is probably the software
already. So Miguel makes this look easy, but if you guys have any questions, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, like, definitely get in contact with Miguel in particular. I mean, academy@troteclaser.ca. If you have any questions about engraving on a rotary, especially, get a hold of your boy here because he is going to be the man to ask about this.
Exactly, and especially if you have the Rayjet, you probably see you have the old Mini Manager. And if you have questions about that, please contact me. I know how to do it. It is tricky. It's really tricky, but it's doable. And well, the quality will be the same, right? It's going to be way easier now. So what do I do here? I go to setup. I'm gonna go to my printer driver, right? The preferences. Now, what do I change here? I'm gonna put 500 DPI. I was using 333. I don't think there's that much of a difference when it comes to the quality of engraving. That is solid, for the laser.
Okay.
But I'll put 500 just because I want the dots to be like clear and actually engraved like completely, and use order differing. So everything is set up here for where I want. I'm gonna send print, and I'm gonna send to the Rayjet manager.
So since you're using a rotary tool, is there anything you're changing in the initial sort of like print driver setup, or is it all inside the Rayjet software that? Oh, okay, yeah, here it is.
Okay. So it doesn't look like this when you start the Rayjet manager, right? You have to go to options, accessories, and click in rotary attachment. Now, this is a good disclaimer to tell you guys. If you have a rotary, you never used it before, don't put the rotary when the machine is turned on. You have to turn it off. And after you turn it off, you put the rotary attachment and you turn it on. Don't do it. It can bug your machine. So rotary attachment here. So here's where you put the diameter that I got in the caliper, right? So I put it here, 2.7717. And rotation speed is 30%. I think this is a sweet spot for me, not only on the Rayjet, but like any Speedy that I want. You can do way faster than this, but like depending on the material that you're using, or if you don't have a good jig to hold it in place, it will slide, right? It will slide off. It will like fall down a little bit. So you have to be a little bit creative depending on what you're using. Like I said, this is really shiny, but doesn't have a good grip, right? So if it starts rotating too fast, it can just fall down from the caps, right?
Yeah.
From the caps. So I put like 30% is a good speed for me for the rotary. Rotary attachment, okay. Also, another good thing to do when you're doing rotary engraving is to have a ruler that you can click and drag inside the Rayjet manager, and you can do that in Job Control as well, to put limits of the material that you're using, right? So I know that my water bottle is it's like almost 10 inches in height. However, it's not 10 inches engravable, right? So I put this, but I know it's only gonna go from like 14 to 7, 6.5 kind of thing, right? So anything that I want to engrave, I have to be inside this area here. So I'm gonna put it here, and it's gonna automatically rotate as soon as I put it, because the direction changed when you put the rotary, right? Normally it goes from like top bottom. Now it's like from left to right, and this is how I want.
So when you send it into the software, you're still wanting to look at it straight on, because the rotary tool will automatically rotate your design like 90 degrees to the side.
And you also have to be mindful of the material that you're using, right? Like if you see that the logo there, it's like flipped that way, you don't want to do like the other side of the bottle.
Upside down on the bottle.
Upside down, exactly. So
not that we've ever done that.
I did.
Yeah, me too.
Yes. So okay, everything is set up. I believe so. I want this to be kind of low on the bottle, so I'm gonna put like 12.
Okay.
12 to 10 right here, and I'm gonna show you guys how easy it is on this one. So I'm gonna change my camera. All right.
Nice.
So
here, tell you what, I will try and make that as big as I can.
Just open here, put the bottle in, close it. So like I said, there are easier ways to make a jig if you're like working with a different kind of bottle, if it's not that easy to place on the rotary. I'm trying to make it like as tight as I can, right? It's not gonna wander. Cool. All right, so make sure that you can move the arm, by the way, so make sure that things are lined up. So I have my laser pointer there on You see, on 8.5. I don't want that low, so I'm gonna now put to 9, like between 9.5 and 11.5. Right? I'm gonna close it. It's already focused, and it's really easy to focus as well. Like I said, you can move the arm, so you won't have any trouble like with the machine hitting the object or anything like that. Make sure that you have the right material settings. It's this one. You see, 100% power, 75% speed. Make sure that it's in auto, and now it is a go. It's gonna take 5 minutes to engrave. And
That's
yes,
not too bad.
I mean, yeah, rotary engraving is a little bit slow in general.
Yes.
Okay? So
well, and you've all seen, I mean, it's a lot more precise as well. I mean, you're really having to take into account a lot of calculations, but like anything on the laser, it's going to be one of these things where once you've got it down in terms of the settings and you know your production sort of style, you're able to just repeat this infinitely. You know, if you were doing 100 bottles for Gem Royalty, you could just use the exact same settings and just swap the bottles, you know, one after the other into the machine, I assume.
Yep, exactly. And like a good tip was, like, I didn't do it, but a good tip for you guys when you're doing it is to always align it to the top part, and you rotate the object to the extreme, either bottom or top, so you know where it starts and where it's going to finish. You know, at least on the Rayjet, that's how I do. And this one, I didn't have to because, well, it was a clean bottle, so it doesn't matter where it starts. It's cylindrical shape, you know, so there's no center yet.
Sergio makes a really good point in chat that would have saved me ruining a few Christmas candles, which was that the watermark in the plate actually displays the correct orientation of the product and the graphics. Yes. So if what you see in the machine doesn't line up with what you see on your screen, take Sergio's advice and make sure that you orient everything correctly.
Yes, it does. But like, again, the caps, depending on what you're doing, like the watermark on the Rayjet software, it shows a glass cup, right? I'm doing a bottle. But if you're doing anything that's like, I don't know, what is the name of that wooden thing that we have here in the showroom, Don, that is all
rolling
engraved?
Pin?
Sorry?
Rolling pin?
Yeah, rolling pin. Like, how are you gonna properly put that on the caps, right? So you have to be creative when you do a jig for that. And
True.
yeah.
Marco asks about what software we're using. Marco, this is Rayjet Manager. It comes with all of our newly purchased Rayjet machines, and I do believe I can maybe sneak you guys a little bit of information that for the next, I believe it's a number of months, if you currently have a Rayjet machine and have the Mini Manager, now don't take my word for this, we will confirm it at the launch stream, which is coming up, I believe, next week. But when we do a launch stream for the new Rayjet software, there will be a free upgrade period, I believe, for those who already have the Rayjet Manager software. So if you have a Rayjet and you would like to upgrade from the Mini Manager to the new Rayjet Manager, definitely check out the launch stream, and we will have all the details about if there is a free period to register there. But this software is Rayjet Manager. It is proprietary for the Rayjet machine, and it is very, very similar to the style of job control that you would see with the Speedy lasers. But I'm 90% sure that there's an upgrade period for those, and then after that there'll be a charge. But again, don't take my word for it. Tune into the stream, and we will have all of the details at that time. Obviously, you know, I would love for you all to have a Rayjet and the new software, but I can't promise. I'm only in consumables. I can only promise you about plastic metals and things. That's my domain. I wanted to take a quick moment while this is engraving, Miguel, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I wanted to show you guys. So I was poking around, as I will do, on Etsy. Let's see if you guys can you see this clearly, Miguel, on the screen? Excellent. Awesome. Yep. So I just pulled up a number just to start with of laser engraved, tumblers and bottles and things like this. I wanted to give you an idea of what sort of we were looking at when we were looking for inspiration this week. We considered a lot of different things. Pattern we felt like was a great one to touch on. I think, Miguel would agree with me in saying that because it's something that you can in the same way that, the sort of logo design that he's showing you this morning teaches you some design principles that you can replicate across a lot of different products and stuff. Pattern is another one like that, where a pattern around a bottle, something like these sort of have is really, really interesting, and is a cool application of that. But obviously you can use pattern in, all kinds of different design challenges. As you can see here, though, a lot of these really are just text. This is the sort of thing that you guys would be able to get done, provided you might spend some time choosing the perfect font or working with your client to find out exactly what personalized message they might want on here. But, for the most part, you're seeing just personalized text. There are some with photos, and I think photo engraving is definitely a technique we'd like to look at in a later challenge. It's something we've heard from you guys that you're excited to learn about, and we'd be really excited to teach you about it, I think. But we wanted to sort of walk before we could run. And as you can see with a lot of these, the majority are just either vector art or text, and are selling for around $35, $40. So this is something, to sort of what Miguel was talking about before. Yes, engraving on the rotary can be tricky, but engraving of this style, this kind of product does not necessarily need to be a lot of work for you, especially once you have the techniques down that we want to show you this morning. It's something that you can make into a production and still make a pretty good profit on, for sure.
And it is done.
Awesome.
Okay. Now, I'm putting my camera here so you guys can see better.
Please do.
So another tip that I showed you guys before. So this is how it looks right now, right? I don't know if you guys are gonna notice the difference after I did this, but I'm using magic eraser. This is really useful for tons of materials that you engrave.
Yeah. To
clean it up. And anyway, so
on-brand specific magic erasing device.
Yes, something like that. I didn't even know this existed until like 3 months ago.
Really?
All right. Yeah.
Oh, dude, they're the best.
All right. So as you can see, it took out some debris from the bottle, and it looks way more shiny now, like cleaner. So yeah,
that looks
pretty easy, right?
I can see how too, like I said, resizing the design helps to make it readable, particularly for something that has such a prominent sort of left to right, piece to the logo. Like you want to have something that's going to keep, that's going to be readable. Amy mentions really quick, thank you for featuring me on your Instagram page. You're most welcome. Thank you for following along with the challenge. Thank you for making such cool stuff. Definitely keep in contact with us. Definitely check out Amy's Instagram page as well. Amy, if you want to post your Instagram handle in the chat, we'd be happy to share that. Amy makes really cool stuff, and you should definitely check her out.
And Leo,
listen, I see that smiley face, Leo.
So I was not gonna show that, but just I was like preparing myself for that kind of request. Like, yo, you guys can do a picture on the bottom. I was like, we're not gonna do that because it's gonna take too long. However, I tried yesterday once, and this is how it looks. I have to improve a lot when it comes to the bottle itself, the anodized aluminum, but this was done in Rayjet, and you guys can see that this is Clint Eastwood, right? I believe so.
Yeah.
So absolutely, we can do, but not right now, So it's doable. And if you have a Speedy 300, you can do this way faster, way faster.
Absolutely. Yep. I mean, the Rayjet is going to be able to give you the same quality level as the Speedies, but as you get into the bigger and bigger Speedies, the bigger and bigger machines, they are going to get faster than the Rayjet. There's just no doubt about it. So the Rayjet is a perfect entry-level machine, a sort of hobbyist sort of tabletop machine. But, the 300 that you have, Leo, would be able to do a beautiful photo engraving, I have no doubt. And I hope you'll tune back in when we do our photo engraving stream, because Miguel has committed that somewhere down the line here, he is going to nail some photo engraving, because we've heard from you guys that it's something you definitely want to see. So
yeah, and since it changes from material to material, we want to show you guys in something more than just anodized aluminum, right?
Right.
Showing glass and acrylic,
wood, a really big one that we get a lot. Yeah, people doing things like people doing things like charcuterie boards, cutting boards, personalized things like that. That's a very popular product for us and has a lot of a photo engraving sort of aspect to it. Leo asks about the DPI you would use for pictures on glass. I'm not sure if you've done a lot of sort of glass engraving.
No, but at the same time, like, kind of depends. I believe so, and I could be wrong, but I remember Mr. Mike Clark, one of our seniors here, as saying that for glass you can go in a low DPI setting and it will be really fine, right? Because you have to be really use a lot of power on the laser to be able to engrave in glass.
Right.
So you can go like 333 DPI and have a good result. But
Mike will be part of our laser jam session this Friday as well. So if you want to ask Mike Clark, don't tell him we called him a senior, even though he is. But definitely tune into the laser jam session on Friday. Also, JC, your questions about pricing, that would probably be the live stream to tune into for pricing questions, just because they have some sales guys on there. They might be able to, they might still not be able to give it to you on the live stream just because of sort of, you know, international nature, but they would be the guys to ask, certainly. Yep. So really quickly, if I could, Miguel, I'm just going to hijack things again really fast here, if you don't mind. Just because that bottle that Miguel showed you, we have kind of a quick, we did this last week and we got some kind of nice feedback about it. Some of you guys weren't as big of fans of it, but for the moment, we want to keep doing it just because we think it's important to sort of bring this home to you guys as potential business owners, designers, that sort of thing, about how if you were doing all of this work yourself, as Miguel is now, you know, how would you maybe look at pricing a job like this as compared to the Rayjet machines, you know, specifically? One of those bottles, you know, we've set it at a $10 price point, but realistically, that's a list price. If you were a Trotec customer, it will be actually less than $10. But you know, we want to give you sort of a basic breakdown. You saw that Miguel was able to do that engraving in 5 minutes. Let's assume if you already have the design, we're talking maybe a 15-minute total with a, you know, charging $40 an hour. That's another $10. Basically, you're looking at a cost of about $20 per bottle. The average price from what we saw there on Etsy is probably going to be around $35. So, you know, hopefully you'll be making about $15 profit per bottle. I mean, the lasers are designed from the Rayjet all the way through the Speedies and the SPs that they're there to make you money, ideally. So if you have a design or you have an idea in mind already, when you unbox the laser and you're ready to go, it's ready to start making you products and making you money, hopefully making you faster on the production line, that sort of thing, immediately. So if you're making $15 per bottle and the Rayjet is costing you $300 per month, that means that in 20 bottles or in, you know, 5 hours, you're hitting a break-even point that the Rayjet is able to pay for itself. So just something to keep in mind anytime you're sort of putting together kind of a basic business plan or putting together a potential project on a Rayjet machine and looking at a purchase with a leasing price of $300 a month. I mean, that's something that you could easily do, making bottles or shadow boxes like the one we saw last week. But, you know, investigate your competition, investigate what's out there on Etsy, and then run the numbers. And I think you'll find that there's some really profitable, really cool stuff that you can make using the Rayjet machine. Speaking of which,
back to the fun stuff.
Can we talk about the patterns?
33 minutes. So, all right, this one's out of the way. I'm gonna put it here. I'm not gonna use this anymore. This is just a test, right? Show you guys everything. Now, what I wanted to show you guys is patterns, right? You can use that to make, well, like a logo, something just in front of it, like a cool pattern, engraving on a bottle or anything like that. You know, it will feel really organic because, I mean, you cannot replicate that really well, let's say, like all the time. It's always going to look a little bit like unique if you do properly. And I have tons of patterns that I can do for you guys here, create and teach you how to create your own. But I'm going to do 2 different ways of creating a pattern, right? One that is going to be, how do you call it? Not repeated. Yeah, it's going to be repeated in a line, let's say, in a way that is going to go around the bottle. And the other one is going to be inside a box, right? So I'm going to use the Curvature Tool. And I believe Corel has one of these as well, that you can click and create a curve, you know, just like this. And I'm going to create like a crazy shape. I think it doesn't make any sense. I'm going to make it a little bit larger than this. Okay. So this is the shape that I created, right? I'm going to make it in a a solid line. I'm gonna put my stroke to 0.5, a little bit bigger. And you can select this, go to Effects, go to Distort and Transform, and go to Transform, right? And this one, as you guys can see, has a lot of options for moving, scale, rotation, and copies, right? And we always want copies in this case, and I'm gonna put like 30 copies. And you guys will see that every like 1% will change a lot. So like 99% and 99% is already gonna look kind of weird, you know, like angle 1%. So you see it changes. And yeah, when you guys see this like around there, it might look intimidating to make, but as you guys can see, it takes like 2 minutes, and it's really easy. So you're gonna put like horizontal 90, vertical 90. So it goes to the center, right?
With each copy of the shape that it's making, it's altering it by that percent, like it's rotating it by that percentage and then altering the scale by that top percentage?
Yes. So I'm gonna put a 6-degree angle. So see,
whoa,
it's pretty cool. And you can also take scaling out if you want everything to be thicker, you know. It's up to you guys, like what you want to do. Like 80 copies, it's gonna be too much, you know.
Never.
Yeah. But well, it could be good for you if you want to do like a bigger pattern.
Yeah.
You can move as well, like 1 inch. 1 inch is a lot, but like, so you guys can see this.
Whoa.
See? Yeah. 1 inch is a lot. I mean 0.05. So it goes moving to the left, right? So anyway, it goes from this to this, and some clicks.
This is another one of the cool things too about working in vectors is that if you have one that's 80 copies, you can just, you know, scale it out, you know, proportionally, and it's not going to get, you know, distorted. It's not going to get pixelated. You're able to just blow it up to whatever size you like.
Exactly. So if I wanted to send this, yeah, that's cool, right? So before you send this to Engrave, you gotta go to Object, Expand Appearance, and now everything is an actual shape, right? With stroke width. So you can also kind of kiss cut this if you want, you know, or you can go to Object and Expand, make it a raster, so you can just do engraving. This is one way to make patterns that is pretty cool, pretty easy, fast, and it's gonna look unique. You know, you just need to put your time, like digging around the transform effect, and that's basically it for this one. The other one that I'm gonna do is one that you can replicate multiple times, and you can go like, I'm actually gonna put this side here. You go around the bottle, right? So you can do this in so many different ways. I'm gonna choose one way that I think is fast and easy for you guys, and I mean, I prefer to work like this, but that's up to you, right? So I'm gonna create a copy of these. I'm gonna hold Alt and Shift and drag it down to a point where I think it's good enough, like here, and it's gonna create a copy, right? If I drag with Alt and Shift, I'm gonna select both, clicking and rotate with Shift, so I can make sure that it's a 90-degree angle, and clicking Alt, and when I click in Alt, it's gonna create a copy, right? So it creates a copy now. Cool. And I select everything. I make it become stroke line. I can change here from fill to stroke. And you can already see what a pattern might look like right here. So I'm going to click here and I'm going to rotate it. So why do I need to rotate? Because this is the pattern. It was not that. It's kind of a cross, a kind of circle cross kind of thing, right? So I'm going to delete some anchor points. But since I rotated everything, the anchor points are in diagonals, and I don't want that. So I'm going to click, rotate 45 degrees, and do that 4 times until I have all the anchor points in a cross shape, right? So now I want to delete the top one.
Can I interrupt you really quick? Sorry, just to ask.
Sure.
So in doing that, because the pattern is going to line up like horizontally, you have to make sure that the points at which it's like you make the anchor points on the sides where you expect the pattern to sort of line up. Is that like, am I understanding that right?
Exactly.
Okay. I gotcha.
Otherwise, when you start like deleting these, they are not going to be together on the center.
Right. Yep.
So I delete everything that is in the corners. So there you go. And you can make sure that it's actually going to line up if inside the box in Illustrator, right?
Yeah.
It's actually touching the corners. So it is going to be replicated in, let's say, a perfect way, right? Now you can make the stroke a little bit like thicker, like 3 points. No, more, 5. All right, good enough. So now you're gonna go to Object, Expand Fill and Stroke. It's gonna become just it's gonna just fill now, right? It's not gonna be stroke anymore, and you're gonna go to Object Path, Offset Path. Now you can create like a contour in CorelDRAW. This is the contour tool. So I'm gonna put 0.04, I believe.
Can I ask there? So really quickly, just as a recap, so you had something that was just a stroke, and then you made the stroke thicker. You turned it into essentially like a whole shape. So it's not a stroke anymore. It's like a fill. And then you added essentially what was a new like kind of contoured stroke around the outside of that shape.
Exactly.
Cool.
And
okay, I'm with you.
Just reminding you guys, the video will be on our YouTube channel, so you can rewatch this as many times as you want.
Thank goodness for me.
So I'm gonna click OK here, and when I select everything, you see I create this contour shape. And I told you guys that I was gonna use this, and now I'm gonna use it finally, the Shaper Builder tool. This is so cool. You guys have no idea how many things you can do with this. And what it does is that you can click and drag on shapes, and you can delete a shape, join a shape, like any way you want, right? In this case, I'm going to delete a shape, and I'm going to delete in some ways that I wanted to. Like you can do in any way you want in the intersection. So I'm going to delete this intersection here, this one, and this one. But for this one, I'm going to do the other way. So I'm going to delete this one and these ones, right? And this is how it looks, but it's still not finished. So what you're going to do now is click on the outer vectors with the direct selection tool. So you just select the outer vectors, and now you delete them.
The contour vectors? Oh, cool. That's so sick.
Now you delete them. Yep. And this is one pattern that you guys can make. Anyway, you guys can make any kind of pattern, like more geometric shapes, like squares, cubes, anything like this, right? And once you're done this, you can go to the Pathfinder, which is Ctrl Shift F9 if you guys don't know where to find it, and unite them. Now it's one big shape. Now this is too big, it's like 1.3 inches. I'm gonna make like a little bit, yeah, one inch. And you can open your swatch, right? There are ways to do this. You can do the proper way, which I believe is Object Pattern Make, but I never do anything proper in Illustrator. So yes, I will. Where is it? Damn. Yeah, I never do anything proper. I always do the crude manner. Click it and you drag here to the swatch. Right?
It's not crude if it works. That's the thing.
Yeah, it works.
nothing is bad if it works. If it works, it works.
So I'm gonna take this object out of here, and I'm gonna click twice here, and you guys can see that the pattern is done.
Cool.
So they actually connect each other in a seamless manner, right? It's done here. And you can
surprised when you say that.
What? Sorry?
Don't sound surprised when you say that.
Yes.
It looks great, man. That's really cool.
And you can click on this thing here, the pattern tile too, and you can like go crazy with how it looks, but now it doesn't look like a pattern anymore. You can do this, like it looks even more interlaced if you want. And yeah, it's all up to you. Like, what do you want to do, right? It looks like those Celtic knots.
Celtic knots. I was thinking the same thing too. Yeah.
Now, I'm not gonna do like this because it might take a while to engrave. I'm gonna be like the original shape. It's gonna be more simple and faster to engrave. But yeah, you can change the tile type from grid to brick by row, and like the brick offset here, you can change it as well. You can do like hex,
What?
You can go crazy with this. Like,
that's really cool.
It's pretty.
That's such a powerful tool.
Yeah. And yeah, it's just about patience and how many like, things you have in your mind that you want to do, right? Like, you can make. Oh, by the way, and like depending on the tile type, you can also go here in pattern tile too, and like go there and change like anchor point by anchor point, right? Diagonal by diagonal and changing everything. But we're gonna use the grid, and uh, I believe that's it that I'm gonna do here, right? We can make more copies, like 9 by 9. It's just gonna be bigger.
So cool.
Uh,
It's like we were saying before. I mean, you could employ this. I mean, we're gonna, as I said, try and put it on a bottle possibly, but you could employ that technique for a ton of different things. Yeah, Ron mentions that it looks like chainmail. Like you could use that for I could picture that on the side of like a designer bag potentially.
Mm-hmm. So I'm
Deborah, Ron, thank you very much. Amy, very nice. Thank you all. Thank you all. We appreciate it. Carlos mentions, he says he is the Rayjet Mini Manager. Where can he download Rayjet Manager? So we were speaking a little bit about this earlier, Carlos. We have a launch stream for the new Rayjet Manager coming up next week. Definitely tune in. We will have all the details about where you can find the new software on that particular stream. Definitely, we'll be sending out e-blasts and email reminders beforehand, so you'll know exactly when it's coming. And definitely don't miss it. I think Miguel is going to be very prominent in it. So if I'm not in it, I will be watching it for sure.
It's amazing, and I'm a beta tester. That's why I have it.
Yes.
Okay. So now that we have the pattern here, and it's already in the fill option, I'm just going to create a square, a rectangle, right? And I'm going to create the rectangle in the size that my box that I created with the actual size of the bottle.
Right.
So I'm just going to create this, and ta-da, there's your pattern. No?
So you're able to make the original pattern piece that you made just into a swatch that you can then replicate like over and over and over and over and over again?
Yes.
That's so cool.
So you can do this, like just change the size of the rectangle, and it's going to multiply as many times as you need in one, right?
Oh, that's great.
Yes. Now, the tricky part here is to make sure that the bottom part is going to be connected to the top part.
Right.
In a seamless manner.
Seamless manner.
Honestly, it's about luck right now because we don't have enough time to do this. I'm just going to put it in there and see if it goes. But it looks like it's going to look good. I don't really know. I could be off by like a millimeter. And of course, you guys will be able to see that because, well, you show on the engraving, right? So I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. So like this. Now, important stuff. When you're moving your shape, you move it to, let's say, the artboard here. It's going to move the whole pattern the way it is inside. I don't know if you guys can see this, but the pattern actually moves inside. Like, goes with the shape, right? And if you don't want to do that, you go back, Ctrl Z, and you go click on the rectangle, go to Object, Expand Fill, and expand again. Is it? Yes. So now the fill shape is the one that I want.
Yes.
Right? Like it's not moving anymore. Now it's time to do it. I'm gonna click it and center the Rayjet Manager again. Since I'm gonna use the exact same settings, I don't need to change anything. Let me just do it like a second look to make sure that this can line up. Okay.
Seamless.
It's seamless. And I'm gonna send it there. Now as you have the logo here, I'm gonna backspace it. Go back to options, accessories, rotary attachment. Make sure the stuff is here, and it bipped. Everything is right. So you guys can see, give me a pop-up, but it's okay. What is it? Rotate job. It is going to rotate. It's going to pop up, but it's going to rotate anyway. So I can see that's going from one end to the other, right? The only thing is it going to connect properly? We hope. I think this is a good...
You're among friends here, Miguel. Don't worry about it. It's going to be fine. It's going to be good.
Okay, so I'm going to put my other camera so you guys can
check
it.
I wanted to show this one more time if I can. So just really quickly, you know, for those of you who might have missed it a little bit earlier, this style of engraving applies in the same way as the bottle that Miguel was making earlier. I mean, if this is a pattern that you're reusing, if you're talking, you know, 5 or 10 minutes of engraving time and 5 or 10 minutes just lining up the design, that sort of thing. The bottle, again, at $10, that's a list price, so it'll be cheaper than that. But that's a cost of $20, and the Etsy average basically for a personalized bottle like the one you saw here is around like $35 to $40. So you're making, you know, $15 per bottle to make something really, really great and cool here. So I mean, again, this same principle that Miguel, you know, with the bottle he's lining up right now in the rotary there, you know, with the Rayjet costing you roughly about $300 a month, that's, you know, 20 bottles or 5 hours of design time that, you know, you can break even, and then from then on out, everything is basically just profit. I always love I love the Rayjet, you guys. It's so quiet. The fact that Miguel can literally be sitting right next to it with obviously his microphone and his camera on and all that stuff, and you can't really hear the machine, is still blows me away. We should say one thing Miguel and I were talking about yesterday, I believe it was, is that doing the focus on the bottle can sometimes be tricky. Is that true? Like trying to get the laser head perfectly in focus when you're, you know, when you're doing it on any sort of, you know, cylindrical object.
Yeah, I mean, you have to bring, like, since you can move the arm back and forth, like, I don't know if you guys can see that I can do this, and please don't do that if you're not using the rotary, because the arm won't be unlocked, it'll be locked, and if you try to do this, it, like, force it, you can break it. But when you do the rotary, the arm is unlocked, so you can go back and forth as much as you want.
Right.
And you make sure that the laser pointer lines up with the material here, right, and then you can focus it. And I know that I'm in focus because of that.
Keep in mind, guys, too, that, you know, we're doing water bottles, but we've done, as Miguel mentioned earlier, wine bottles, wine glasses, drinking glasses, tumblers, candle holders. I mean, this same principle applies to lots and lots and lots of stuff that you would see on Etsy, on Shopify, sold on Facebook or Instagram, all sorts of really cool stuff that, I mean, products that are in demand. And that I know that people love having customized in particular for, you know, different holidays or for different people, whatever it might be.
Okay, so this is gonna take 14 minutes.
14 minutes. All right. I mean, let her rip, buddy. We got time. Not a problem.
Okay. Is he? It's
okay, the stream is going to come together in a seamless fashion.
Yeah. All right. So in this case, it takes 14 minutes to engrave, but it could take half of it because, well, I took some advice, and like one of our seniors said, no, you should use 500 DPI. I was like, all right, cool. Like I'm gonna use 500 DPI, but you don't have to if you're doing something so solid as a pattern or a logo. You can do 250, right? And it will be half the time. So I could engrave this in like 7 minutes, 6 minutes, right? You only need higher DPI if you're doing like half tone, in my opinion. And like
Amy says she's got her fingers crossed for you, bud.
Yeah, and fingers crossed and ton of patience, because it's gonna take a while. But anyway, so yeah, it's doing the work. I believe that. Let's see here. Wait.
I can hear it going. I can hear it doing its thing.
Is it? Weird.
Tell me.
I think it's engraving a little bit off the
bottle.
The bottle. Yep.
That's all right. That's why we've got you here, brother. This was intentional in order that Miguel can show you how to troubleshoot should this ever happen to you.
Yes, it's because I forgot to move the arm back. Sorry, guys. Actually, this would be a great opportunity to take this out and doing that lower DPI so it doesn't take forever. I'm going to delete this.
It's not forever. Again, I want you guys to know that 500 DPI, that's a super high. That's probably because I guess we were doing some photo engraving too, right? We've got that set really, really high.
So this time I'm going to do 250. The quality might be a little bit like iffy, but it will be done in like 7 minutes.
Yeah, and it shows the principles, right?
Yes. This is important. Like, put the arm back in place when you move it.
Yes. I had a question for you, if that's okay, from Matt in the chat.
Sure.
He was asking if the pattern is editable once it's used as a swatch, or conceivably would you have to rebuild it if you wanted to do a different, make a slight change to it?
You mean change in the vector itself or in the pattern?
I think probably both. Because once you've saved it as a swatch, I assume that swatch is just kind of locked in, right? There's nothing you can do to sort of change the swatch itself. You would kind of have to rebuild the pattern if you wanted to make a change to the initial swatch that you built.
I don't know why it's not rotating right now.
That's all right.
Great. Why are you doing this to me right now? Let me finish. Okay.
Yeah, let me share my screen really fast while you were hopping on that one. Just to show you guys. Here's our lovely consumable site with all the benefits of using Trotec consumables. I won't go into them, but if you have any questions, obviously I'm your man. If you pop down into all the different categories, I mean, we have more than 1,000 different products that you can check out. We've looked at our woods in the past. We've looked at our different plastics. We've looked at some of the new products that we will be launching really, really soon, like our pastel line, which actually I will give you guys a little sneak peek. I believe will be added on here later today.
But okay, just to give you guys an idea, it actually is going to take 7 minutes. So I was right. Just lower the DPI if it's going to take too long, and if it's a solid object, go with it. I'm going to hit go now, and it's actually going to engrave it also. Go ahead,
do it. Absolutely. No, not at all. I was just going to show these are the bottles here that Miguel is using today. We have them currently in black and white, but if you guys really like them, we can look at bringing in some more colors in the future, definitely. They are stainless steel, construction on the inside, double layer with the anodization on the outside that you can engrave into, either the black or the white. If you want to see some engraved on the white color, it's definitely something that we can release either in a video coming up. We've done some tests and things, so let us know either on Instagram or whatever it might be, and we'll be happy to release those photos for you. And yeah, I mean, again, here just under accessories and engravable bottles. But if you have any questions, here we go.
Okay, so let me just answer Matt, because he asked, can't you just calculate the circumference of the bottle and match the dimensions of your rectangle? This is exactly what I did, Matt. So I don't know if you were here in the beginning, but I showed the caliper that I'm using, But what I said was I can be like a millimeter off, since this is the first time that I'm doing this pattern. And I don't really know if it's going to be seamless or not, right? After that, I can change a little bit, make sure that the caliper is correct, and make sure that my settings inside the Rayjet Manager are correct, and that my box inside Illustrator is correct. But just to show you, I'm going to share my screen again.
Please.
And show you my Illustrator. And I created here a rectangle that is 8.78 inches high, which is the circumference of my bottle times pi, right?
The diameter of the bottle.
Yeah, diameter of the bottle times pi. Yeah. So this would be the circumference of the bottle. 8.78 inches. So I have it here, and I made my pattern the same size as the thing here. As you can see, it goes from extremity to extremity. So I made that. I don't think you saw it, but anyway, this is the correct way to do it, and you were right. That's how you should be doing if you're doing a thing that goes around the whole bottle. All right, so you go back to you, Don.
Well, I was just going to say, so Ron has a quick question about the consumables. So do you have to have a Trotec laser to buy Trotec consumables? No, not at all. You can visit, in Canada, it is engraving-supplies.ca. In the States, it is, because I know you said you were from Ohio, engraving-supplies.com. You can sign up for a free account, and once you do, you'll be able to see all the different materials. You can collect points that you can use for free materials in the future. You'll have discounts, different deals and stuff that you can do. The benefit of having a Trotec laser with the Trotec materials is that we can give you advice on settings. So if you want to get a very particular result from the Trotec wood or from the Trotec anodized aluminum in this case, or whatever it is, we can give you some suggestions on how you might set up the power and speed of your laser in order to get exactly the outcome that you're looking for.
All right. So Matt, this is your answer, right? You can change the pattern itself on this box, like clicking here in Pattern Style Tool. So you can change the box shape and the pattern would change. However, if you're talking about changing the actual vector, you can with direct selection tool. You can click the direct selection tool and everything is inside the box, which is the actual pattern, right? You can change it.
Oh, cool.
You can see I'm moving and I can change the shape itself and everything changes with it, right?
And then like you were showing earlier too, the actual pattern tool itself can also make some pretty serious changes to the pattern if you're setting it up like as a grid or as a hex or different things too. That allows you quite a bit of sort of freedom there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Sergio mentions too, if you wanted to edit the swatch, you could double click the swatch and then edit the sort of the aspects of it. Thank you, Sergio.
Here we have like new pattern swatch 6. So if you double click it, you will have the whole pattern swatch that you can edit the way you want, and you can just ask it out.
That's really, really cool. Have you used patterns for any design projects you've done in the past? Is this like, yeah? Especially
backgrounds, like background of anything. If you're doing a magazine or anything like that, you want to do a cool background or a presentation, you know. I mean, for logos, I'd never use it because I don't think it makes too much sense unless it's a very psychedelic company. Oh, dang, I didn't realize work patterns are so sensitive. Yep. So, you have no idea, man. If you're off by like less than 0.01 point, it will like show you how cheated. Okay, I'm gonna do a wrong pattern here so you can see this, and it's gonna be really fast since it's gonna be wrong. But if you get the ellipse and you just like
kind of guesstimate the distances.
Yeah, guesstimate the distance. Put the rotation tool here and like click Alt and copy to 90 degrees. Copy and Ctrl D. Okay, you have all these. Let's just say that this is gonna look iffy at best.
Well, it's still gonna look cool. It's just as a pattern, it's not really gonna fly. It's sort of one of the defining characteristics of the pattern is that the edges of it do kind of have to line up. Otherwise, it's not really a pattern, I don't think. Hey, when you did the Control D, is that just like a duplicate command? Is that like a duplicate shortcut?
Yes, it is. Shortcut to duplicate.
Gotcha. Cool.
Perfect. Okay. So delete. So it might look okay here, but as you guys can see in the corners here, they're not aligned. So
right.
Yeah, if you make this a pattern, you see right now how it looks. It looks completely off. See?
Looks like my pattern.
Yeah. So you may be able to edit a little bit, you know, like here and like make it line up. But I don't know. I'd rather do it properly the first time than just be editing everything.
Yeah, it's why add extra work to edit it when if you just follow the steps in the first place, it'll work seamlessly.
Yep. Okay, it's finished. Let's see how it looks.
I'm excited, man.
Ah!
Oh no, something happened to Miguel.
Yes, I was off a little bit. But actually, I think this wasn't the laser problem. It was more Illustrator. I should have done like a better file to send, but let me clean it a little bit. So there you go. You guys can see it's rotating on the whole thing.
That's cool, man. That looks great.
Now this is where the failure is. See, really small, like a millimeter kind of thing. I should have done like on Illustrator, put a bigger circle, so it actually properly engraves seamlessly. So like I said, since this was my first try, it's really hard to get it right in the first try. You got to try it.
I still think it looks great. So, in this particular case, are you referring to the bottles from Trotec? Or some of the other engraving materials? I mean, it's up to you. I think, we were talking about the ROI earlier in the stream. it depends on how you want to structure your business. I mean, the benefit, as always, of coming to Trotec is that, like our lasers, our materials are designed to be very, very top quality. So I know that they'll deliver a great result for you, whether you're using them. You know, there are some that engrave with CNC machines, some that engrave with lasers. Also, if you're using one of our materials, you can get in contact with Miguel or with myself to get some suggestions of, you know, how you might get the perfect outcome without having to do a lot of trial and error. But certainly, by all means, I mean, Miguel and I are always testing out lasers on materials that we get from all over the place. We've done stuff with dollar store bristleboard paper. You know, there's no wrong material as long as it's, you know, safe to use on the laser. Nothing with, you know, PVC or things like that. But outside of that, I mean, like, you know, go nuts. Obviously, if you're going to be experimenting, don't necessarily start on a client's piece. We've heard some horror stories about people, say, doing the backs of someone else's iPhone or things like this. And, you know, you just have to be really, really careful. Always do some trial and error prior to doing anything too risky. But, you know, outside of that, I mean, go with whatever, you know, makes the most sense for you. I mean, certainly I would recommend Trotec Consumables, but as my name in the stream indicates, I may be slightly biased.
What about the resulting pattern from using the swatch? Can I clean up the ends using the direct selection tool, or is it simply a rasterized image? You can. I mean, as long as you made the pattern as a stroke, you can. You know, if you want to raster and create the pattern after you raster it, you will be. I mean, it won't be raster, like it's always vector and Illustrator, but it will be a fill, as in fill it in vector instead of a stroke vector, and it will be a little bit harder to use the direct selection tool and actually change anything. But yes, you can. But my tip for you is do it as a stroke line. It's way easier. And I measured this, and it's actually 1 millimeter off. So you guys can understand how this is a little bit tricky to get it perfect, because, and this is boring, but it's the diameter of things times pi, so 3.14. So there was one number there in the middle. The times 3.14 gets close to 1 millimeter, and that's why it's not perfect. Yep. So you have to try this sometimes until you actually get the diameter of whatever you're doing. So if you're gonna try it, don't do this big of a pattern. To do a line, or like a line with 2 dots, and see if they actually connect, and then you try it again on top of it until you can like find the perfect way, and then you do anything that you know, because you can have all your numbers.
Totally.
Yeah, guys, this is the logo that we did. A lot of it's really shiny.
It looks good. You can still see it, absolutely. We'll take some high quality photos too that we'll post up on our Instagram. So definitely, if you guys have a rotary, or even if you test out some different patterns and things, send us your pictures. Send us the different experiments that you do. Tag us on Facebook, Instagram, all that sort of stuff. We'd love to hear from you. One last quick question here about. So we were talking about the value of investing in a laser from Trotec. So here's the thing. I think it's tough to say because, you know, we can't and don't necessarily want to comment on other hobby machines specifically. But, you know, when it comes to the Rayjet, I will say this, and then I want to hear Miguel's thoughts on it as well, obviously, because he gets to work with the Rayjet quite a bit more than I do. But the value that you get from the Rayjet is not only in sort of the low leasing cost per month, but it's the return on investment that you get in correlation to that. So for $300 a month, you have a Trotec level of technical support and application support from Miguel, consumable support from myself, and then also the level of quality of engraving that you can expect from a Trotec machine, whether it's a Rayjet or a Speedy or an SP. The cutting and engraving is going to be the very, very best on the market as far as we're concerned. And the speed of applications, as you saw in the software that Miguel was showing you, I mean, it's the very top quality as far as we're concerned. So that is where your investment is going. It's an investment in the fact that when you then use that machine to turn a product over to your customer, it is also going to be very top quality and show that level of investment that you've made. You know, Miguel, if you were looking at a hobby laser, would you invest in the Rayjet? What is it about working with that machine that you really, you know, love?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna be. I know this might sound a little bit off, but I'm not a new user anymore. if it was a new user, there are some things that I would improve on the Rayjet softwares. Or, however, the machine itself, it's amazing. Like, it's out of this world when it comes to speed and power and quality of what it does. Because, well, I researched a lot about these things, and I saw videos about other hobby lasers. And honestly, the amount of projects that I have to do per day and tests and stuff like that, if I was doing it like 3 or 4 times the time that I used to do in Rayjet, well, I wouldn't be able to do all my calls and issues that people have with applications and training, right?
Yep.
Exactly. So if you're a new user, you might have some bumps in the road, But another thing, when you buy a new machine, you get trained by me, right? We have a 2-hour training like for basics, and I can show you and answer some of your questions, most of your questions actually, for basics, and you will know how to use your machine 100% because I'll train you. But as an advanced user, let's say, I won't change this for any other hobby laser. I mean, It's a beast, right? I mean, any Speedy is a beast, any Rayjet, everything that we do when it comes to the engineering, the Austrian engineering, it's amazing, right? So, yeah. And since I don't do production with this machine, with the Rayjet, it sits on my desk, let's say, I don't need to worry about like needing a Speedy 300, let's say, to do hundreds of name tags or anything like that. Which, if you're doing that, if you're making a business out of engraving and cutting, the Speedy might be your thing. Like, this is a hobby, kind of small business.
So I popped this question up because you mentioned the training. So, we really appreciate that you've watched our YouTube channel, but in terms of the instruction manual to using the machine, absolutely. So when you buy a Trotec machine, regardless of what size it is, here in Canada, you'll have a 2-hour free training session with Miguel, who does all of our sort of new laser training.
This is important. It's in Canada.
In Canada specifically. Again, it's the reason we don't mention pricing as well. It's just we can't necessarily speak to the other Trotecs. You're in good hands no matter which Trotec you go to, 100%. The machines and the staff will still be great, but just in terms of the specifics of their programs, it might be slightly different. But in Canada, you'll have a 2-hour free training with Miguel, and it'll give you a chance, regardless of whether you're an advanced user or a beginner user, to sort of tackle the questions and the sort of things that you might be wondering about in that stage of your sort of laser life. Matt asks if there's a difference in engraving time between the Rayjet and the Speedy line.
Absolutely. The Speedy line is out of this world when it comes to engraving and cutting, and anything that they do is really, really fast, and the quality is amazing. So let's say what I did here in 7 minutes, I could do in 2, or less, even on the 300 and 400.
But that's also true even in the Speedy line itself. The Speedy 400 is going to be faster than a 300 or faster than a 100. Each of the machines, sort of as Miguel was talking to earlier about production, are sort of tailored around, I think, it's fair to say, with a particular type of business or particular kind of pack of applications in mind. If you have a Trotec near you, or if you get in touch with one of our salespeople, I'd recommend having them demo some of the machines for you. It's completely free, no obligation, but it just gives you a chance. Right now, because of COVID, obviously coming to see us in person might be tricky, but we always recommend getting a demo with a Trotec salesperson. They're able to demo the sort of application you want to do, and then also show you whatever machine or machines it is that you're interested in looking at. And Amy makes a great point. As she always does. Thank you for tuning in again, Amy. The Rayjet is sometimes treated like the underdog, but personally, she feels it's a great way to get started. I think that summarizes a lot of sort of what Miguel was speaking to.
Not only that, but this is one of the things that I believe the Rayjet has. Is another USP, in my opinion, for the Rayjet. The mileage for the Rayjet is way bigger. I mean, for you to start as a hobby and buying a laser and going from a hobby to a really small business to actually be able to start production, and for, let's say, eventually you buy a Speedy, it takes a good time. The mileage on the Rayjet, the mileage on the Rayjet, it's gonna take you far. Other hobby lasers might not take you that far. Come to a point in your production that you need a way better laser, industrial level laser like a Speedy, way sooner than on a Rayjet. The Rayjet, you can hold that machine for a while. It's really good. Oh, Jeremy, the The stream will be recorded on YouTube.
Sorry, Miguel, we lost you there for a second. Could you just repeat that sort of the last thing you were saying, that the Rayjet will take you quite a ways without necessarily having to upgrade to the next sort of level of speedies?
Yeah, like you won't need to. Honestly, for a while, upgrade. If you're starting as a hobbyist and then going to a small business kind of thing, it will take you way more time to be able to, to actually want to upgrade, to feel like you need the upgrading part, because the Rayjet is a great machine. For Jeremy, we gonna have it recorded on YouTube, so you can, after this is finished, you can watch the whole stream and just go back on what we showed.
Would you be able to show us the bottle with the logo on it again, really quick? Just yeah,
it's shiny, but
it's a beast. Ron mentioned specifically too. He says the Speedy line is a beast. I use them in a makerspace, and they live up to their name. They are so fast, 100%. But keep in mind too, as we were sort of saying, as Miguel was speaking, I realized too, one of the things we wanted to touch on is the machines do get faster, certainly, as you get bigger, and they get a higher maximum wattage to sort of, balance that equation out. But the outcome, the level of quality, and the level of minute detail that you can accomplish is going to be the same across all of them. That's sort of the barometer, right? If you engrave something with a Rayjet that's very, very super detailed, and you engrave something with a 360 that's super detailed, they should be able to achieve basically the same level of detail, the same level of polish, kind of, right?
Yeah. The only thing that would change there is the material. Like if the material that you're using, like anodized aluminum, for instance, if it requires more power to do that, you might not get the same result, because while a Speedy would do, like, let's say with the hands in the back, do photo engraving and anodized aluminum, while the Rayjet, you got to go 100 power, like the slow speed kind of thing, to have the same quality. But it depends a lot on the material. Most of the time, the quality is absolutely the same,
Yeah. But this is, again, another benefit, hopefully, of coming to Trotec, is that if you have something in mind, if you want to work with anodized aluminum specifically, obviously we sell anodized aluminum and we have some experience with it. So get in touch. That's something that your salesperson during the demo will be able to talk to you about. That's something that Miguel will be able to talk to you about, and sort of say, hey, if you're thinking specifically anodized aluminum, you might want to look at, this machine or a flex machine or that sort of thing. But what do you think, Miguel? Should we call it for today?
Yeah, that's it. I hope you guys learn pattern making and do your patterns, engrave them, send us to or Instagram, tag us, and we will definitely repost you. Show us your challenges, right? Because
100%.
Like I said, this one was more of an educational week, but next week definitely it's going to be another challenge, and you guys come with the requests that you wanted me to do. We don't really know exactly what material and what we're going to do yet, but we'll bring it up, and next week be ready to throw me a curveball.
Definitely. I mean, rest assured that we wanted to fit this week in because we plan to add some patterns and things like this into later challenges. So we want to be sure that we have sort of that groundwork established. So if Miguel has to act really quickly in a later thing, we can sort of refer all of you back to the earlier stream where he gets to take his time and kind of show you how he goes about making them in the Miguel way, not the crude way, like we said, the Miguel way. Thank you guys again, like Miguel says, so much for watching. We really, really appreciate it. Tag us on Instagram. I mean, you covered it off, brother. I can't say it better than that. We'll be back the same time again next week. Same day, same Miguel time, same Miguel channel. Definitely don't miss out. We look forward to it.
All right. See you guys next week.
Take care, guys.
Take care. Bye-bye.